How's it going, my G's? Hope you guys are all doing great. Today, I'm just going to give you a really quick vital tutorial on making a frog in the pan foghorn bass. It's a foghorn which has a nice amount of almost a ping pong effect, like a really over dramatic stereo sound to it. Super easy to make. Just a few details you have to kind of dial in. But here's how it sounds with a little beat as well. So it's got this kind of quite soft foghorn character, but lots of bass though, you know. And Vital likes to click around a lot. It's especially bad when I just hit space. What actually helps the clicking is when the glide and legato are on, it seemed to click a lot more. Anyway, when I turned them off, it happens a bit less. But we're going to give Vital we're not going to have a go at Vital because it's great. But anyway, if you can put up with that clicking that occasionally happens, particularly it's because of all the reverb and stuff when I press pause, you know. But basically, how the sound is made with using loads of effects, particularly the flanger going into the distortion. It's one of the key parts to the sound. And we start off with one sine wave, and I've actually got the smear mode turned on. So this actually is the main sort of way that I've created that sort of foghorn character. Has been through the sine wave run through the smear mode. Now what I've done for the LFO is I've drawn here my shape that I want the foghorn to do. So it comes up quite quickly, then it kind of dips down and stays up for a bit, and then it dips on another lower leg down, and then it kind of just sort of rolls along for the end, you know. And basically I've tracked the start position, so the sort of phase position of the whole LFO movement, to the velocity. So as you might have noticed, the two foghorns were different. They were playing the same notes, but the position was different. So the second one, the velocity's higher, which means that it starts later. It starts closer to here. So you miss that first kind of main fog character, you know. So at the lower velocity, it starts at the beginning, and you get that whole character coming in. So later on, the second one is like it starts later, you know. There's another thing that I've done, which is what gives this whole sound its stereo effect, and that's the stereo knob here, okay? So without that, straight down the middle, right? Putting the stereo back on. Now it's almost like you have two fogs happening, you know, two frogs in the pan. So yeah, it pans sort of from right to left almost, it sounds like, you know? So you can kind of see that there's two dots that follow along the line now. So you've got the left and the right one are different, you know. So the right one actually starts first, and then the left one follows a few milliseconds later, you know. So that's what's giving the whole foghorn its stereo character, right? So once we've got that, I then went into doing my chorus and flanging, right? Big chorus, flanging the whole thing like 95%, and then a big distortion at 10 dB. So that's the key sort of chain to get the main parts of the foghorn sound, okay? But then what I did next is I added in another oscillator down here. So this one is again, it's a sine wave, but this time without the smear mode, and it's detuned, almost a semitone, but not quite, from the first one. And that adds all this extra rumbly noise in the low end, you know. I've controlled it a bit by putting this oscillator through a separate filter. Here's selected oscillator 2 only, and the phaser negative filter here with a bit of movement. So if you wanted the foghorn to be even cleaner, you could just have that main part, but I quite liked it with the extra sine wave that was quite rumbly because it added lots of like strange movements in the low end that I just quite enjoyed. Okay, so there's a few more things I've done. I've added a filter, and this also creates a nice bit of character when I put it back on here. So this cut is sort of how you see the filter sort of opens up towards the higher part of it. That's basically being modulated on the LFO as well. So it's like the filter opens up in line with the kind of fog movement, you know. But the actual sort of cut-off position of the filter has quite a different effect where you place it. So what I did is I placed it down here around 240 hertz, and with the velocity tracking, it goes up slightly to the right. So the second fog sound has a slightly different filter position here. So it almost sounds like a bit of a higher pitched version, essentially, you know, because that kind of comb filter is up slightly higher to the right. So that is all happening before the chorus, before the flanger, and before the distortion. And we've got a few things left to add, and that's the compressor, which I'm using in this OTT kind of sense, where it's just giving me like a brightness boost. Turn the attack up, have the release down, and yeah, it's modulating on the mix as well, on the LFO, so it follows along with the LFO. So it brings you that brightness back in. In line with all the movement, you know. So a touch of delay I've done next, and one is it's a ping pong delay. The left is at 1/8 and the right is 1/8 triplets. Add some nice natural tails to the sound, especially after you got this first sort of main fog splash here. You have these like little delay tails that happen just after it, you know. Then a touch of EQ. I've just done a little boost around just under 1,000 and a little high shelf, only around 1 dB boosting, and then a bunch of reverb at the end, quite high at 20%, with quite a lot of low mid-range in the reverb as well, just for extra character. So that's low cut around 250 hertz. Okay. So that really like finishes it off and yeah, just fills it all out. So it's quite nice and full for the whole time the sound is being played, you know. So quite nice and big and full and beefy. And just to mix it in with my drums a bit, I just applied a nice little multi-band sidechain for the kick. Just sort of shelving out all the lows. And then I've added a few EQs to control the stereo in the low end, sort of around 82 hertz on the first one, and then 77, and then 82 again at slightly different curves. And I'm just going over the low end a few times because there was so much low end stereo information from all of the crazy things that I've done in Vital, you know, and that really doesn't need to be in the final sound, but it was part of the sound design process to keep that in. It's just something I need to clean up at the end, you know. But when you look now, you see there's a tiny bit of rumble still in the stereo, but there's not anywhere near as much as there was before. So that just kind of helps to clear out the mono power for the real low part of the sub bass, you know. But yeah, really nice and easy foghorn kind of bass to make, just using sine waves, using the smear mode to give a bit of that foghorn character already with some modulation on there. You know, drawing in your slow foghorn pattern however you want. You can do a double foghorn, you can do different kind of things, you know. And then, yeah, basically then chorusing it loads and flanging it, you know, almost 100%. So it's really flanged out a lot. Then distorting it, and that's what kind of brings you that whole power all together. You know, it's very, very stereoed, very crazy, especially with the stereo knob using here. But it's controllable though. You know, it has this big stereo character, but as I said, with the sort of mid-side EQing afterwards, something that you can still have in a track for like an overly exaggerated stereo bass sound. So that's my sort of stereo foghorn tutorial today. Hope you guys enjoyed that. All right, thank you very much for watching, my G's. May I remind you as well, if you guys want vital presets, I've got loads on my website. There's also Serum packs, phase plant packs, and current pack as well. Go and check them out. Links are all down below. If you guys need any mentoring, one-on-one production lessons, feel free to book in via the links below. My email is down there as well if you need any more, if you have any questions, or if you want to use my mixing and mastering services, you can also contact me via email. Finally, come along and support me on Patreon if you like my content. There's loads of free stuff you can get on there, free samples, presets, loads of old videos of exclusive tutorials, plus a daily Discord chat. Great community with group events happening in my Discord as well. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Ciao for now. Much love.